Rack and Fin Radio with Tom P. WPG Talk Radio 95.5.
Well, don't forget, listeners, coming up very quickly, November 5th, we're 3 weeks away, Election Day. You all know about that, what's happening. It's just a crazy scene out there now, especially with, I can't even call them Democrats anymore. It's a psycho circus out there. Already, eyes are on some vulnerable districts here. Eyes are on election 2020. Tom P. not jumping the gun. Tom P. just laying some groundwork here. Gentlemen, Brian Fitzherbert was introduced at Hurley in the morning. Harry Hurley, shout out to Harry down the hall there, 2 studios down, announced his candidacy, Republican, running for Congressman Jeff Van Drew's seat. And I had a chance to speak. Well, then I heard about this guy. We were away. We were hunting at the New Jersey Outdoor Alliance Sporting Clay shoot at the Great Red Wing Sporting Clays there in Port Republic. Tommy P., you got to talk to this guy, man. He is high octane. He's energy. He's, most important thing, he's brilliant and he's honest. Those 2 things were mentioned to me by at least 6, 7, 8 people, different, over the course of the week. Talked to Harry a minute and then gave Brian a call. He is on the line right now. Let's lay the groundwork now. New Jersey is a freaking mess. The Democrats have a stranglehold. And methinks that Murphy's going to get in here. I don't see a Republican anywhere from High Point to Cape May Point who could put up a decent run against Murphy. Now the dog is maybe Sweeney challenging him. Who knows? But that's down the road as well. I have Brian on the line right now. Brian, thanks for joining us on Rack and Fin. A lot to talk about, short time, but thanks for coming on Rack and Fin. We had a great pre-interview conversation, man. You are A-OK in my book.
I appreciate that. Thanks for the opportunity to speak to your audience, and I'm ready to roll. I'm getting ready for election 2020, but first, like you mentioned in the intro, we have election 2019, November 5th. Get out and vote. If you don't get out and vote, don't complain about the way things are, but you got to get out and vote. Tell your friends, tell your family, tell your neighbors, tell that person in the grocery store, tell that person out and about when you're hiking, anything, tell them to go out and vote.
Well, Brian, one of the reasons I use this term because it's so apropos for him, one of the reasons Murphy slithered in was that, what was it, only 35% of the population, Jersey voting age population voted. It was sick.
Exactly, and that's a shame because you think about how many people are in the state, and probably about 50% of them are registered to vote. And of the 50% that are registered to vote, maybe 25 to 30% come out and vote. When you don't vote, you don't have your voice being heard, and that's how you get things like Governor Murphy. That's how you get things like sanctuary state policies. That's why you get things like red flag laws that unfortunately are now a way of life here in New Jersey.
Well, Brian, if I may. I spoke to many. It's not going to make a difference. Kim doesn't have a chance because Christie, blah, blah, blah. Well, why vote? It's a pain. It's a done deal. Well, that's primarily that lack of thinking is where we are now. You mentioned red flag laws. Now, Brian Fitzherbert, you are a super strong component of the Second Amendment. There's red flag laws, and that's just, it's already proving a nightmare in several states, other states rather, where it is in effect. And I could just see trouble down the road here in Jersey.
Absolutely. It's total nonsense. Red flag laws violate due process. They allow for the ability that if you're in a situation where someone knows that you have guns or firearms or rifles or anything of that nature, and they come and complain that you're a threat, police can go knock on your door, arrest you, confiscate your weapons. You have to prove to a judge that you're sane in your ability for that. That's a violation of due process. Look, Second Amendment is there to protect the other 26. It comes down to the simple fact when we talk about concealed carry reciprocity, right? We don't have that in New Jersey. It's very difficult to get concealed carry licenses. Yet, driver's license and marriage license are recognized in all 50 states. Why can't a firearms or concealed carry reciprocity be the same? If I'm elected to Congress, I'm going to make sure that gets through the House of Representatives, pass, get to the Senate, and get to the president's desk for signature. I'm going to work every way I can to make that happen.
Well, Brian, New Jersey is, God, thank God Christie vetoed some things, or didn't even, sign off on them, whatever. But this is so anti-gun, and I talked to Democrat politicians, who, of course, won't come on Rack and Fin, but that's except for Van Drew, but that was a little while back and regarding fisheries people, not Second Amendment. That, it's we don't want the Wild West. I said, but wait, you have bodyguards, correct? By the way, several of them own firearms, own handguns, okay? But they don't want average Joe citizen to be able to defend himself and his family and his domicile. but it's okay for them and their bodyguards to have it. The hypocrisy just reeks.
Oh, absolutely. Hypocrisy is how Democrats make arguments. And unfortunately, we've seen too many times where they say things on the campaign trail, and then once they're elected, they do the exact opposite. And that's why people have a bad taste in their mouth with politicians. That's why they have a bad taste in their mouth when it comes to the polarization that's happened. I'm not a politician. I work in defense and aerospace. I support the warfighter. I support the military. But I see an opportunity here because I think people have had enough. People are fed up with politicians saying one thing in one room and doing another in a room that's not even that far away, or saying one thing in South Jersey, for instance, and voting on another down in Washington, D.C., which is unfortunately what's happened with Jeff Andrew.
Yeah, he's voted against a couple of pro-gun bills, correct?
Yeah, and that's Nancy Pelosi as Speaker of the House whipping the Democratic caucus. And very unfortunate. He was one person here in Trenton. He's clearly a different person down in Washington, D.C.